And we are live. Hey, this is Eileen Nicole, and this is the Book of Acts YouTube channel. And so today we are going to be talking about some things concerning Donald Trump because the next election is coming up, and this is going to be kind of like an epic election, mostly because this is this is a type of president that isn't a movable president. They can't move him around the chessboard as they would like, as freely and loosely as they would like to. They can a little bit, as they can with anybody in general society, but they can't really move him around the way that they want to move him around. So they are um, they're trying to stop him and discourage him and really put some fear in him to where he doesn't want to run. And if that doesn't work, then they're going to try to do things so he'll be exhausted. So by the time it is time for him to run, he's just going to be like, you know what, forget all of this. But here's the thing: I'm not on either side. This is just what I'm seeing. So we're going to go ahead and get into this. Why Donald Trump is going to be possibly arrested. So he tweeted that he was going to be arrested on tomorrow, which is Tuesday, which is March 21st. And I think, is it the first day? Let's see. Oh, the first day of spring is today. From today till tomorrow will be the first day. Oh, wait. From March 20th to March 20th, which is today, which is the first day of spring, until June 21st. So anyway, so Trump, um, he tweeted, hold on, let me pull up that tweet. Let's pull it up. Man, we gonna have to look at that. Where is the Trump tweet? Hold on just a second. I don't know why I didn't have this. Um, oh, here we go. And that the real Donald Trump is blocked. Are you sure you want to view these tweets? What? Okay, so let's see. Let's see. This guy, the way that he be talking, I'll be like, Donald, is you trying to hold your teeth in or what? Donald Trump gets on my nerves. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it, because he already have a lot of tweets on his page. Is this it? Damn, that's got a big, okay. Okay, so here we go. Let's get into this here. All right, so this is the tweet right here. And what he says here, let's see. He says, it is the district attorney of Manhattan who is breaking the law by using the fake and fully discredited testimony even by the SDNY of a convicted liar, felon, and jailbird, Michael Cohen, to incredibly persecute, prosecute, and indict a former president, and now leading by far presidential candidate for a crime that doesn't exist. Alvin Bragg should be held accountable for the crime of interference in a presidential election. So that's a big deal. Uh, and also, they said that he tried to pay Stormy Daniels hush money to to um so that she wouldn't talk about their sexual exploits. So let's get into this here. Um all right. So this is from CNN. So Washington from CNN, former President Donald Trump said Saturday he expects to be arrested in connection with a years-long investigation into a hush money scheme involving adult film actress Stormy Daniels, and called on his supporters to protest any such move. In a social media post, Trump, referring to himself as the leading Republican candidate and former president of the United States, will be arrested on Tuesday of next week, though he did not say why he expects to be arrested. His team said after Trump's post that it had not received any notification from prosecutors. CNN's John Miller reported Friday that meetings have been going on throughout the week among city, state, and federal law enforcement agencies in New York about the security preparations for a possible indictment of Trump. In an echo of Trump's appeals to supporters in the wake of the 2020 presidential election, he called Saturday for action, writing, "Protest, take our nation back." The former president has been agitating for his team to get his base riled up and believes that an indictment would help him politically. Multiple people briefed on the matter told CNN any indictment of the former president who is running for re-election in 2024 would mark a historic first and quickly change the political conversation around an already divisive figure. While Trump has an extensive history on civil litigation both before and after taking office, a criminal charge would represent a dramatic escalation of his legal woes as he works to recapture the White House. Now, I really do feel like this is a publicity stunt, because it's not illegal for you to offer somebody money for them to not talk about your exploits. It would be illegal if it was something illegal that he did, but them having a relationship, the fact that he was married and she's a porn star, that might be a little bit embarrassing, but at the end of the day, it's not illegal. So that's why he said it was not even a crime that I'm not sure where he's pulling this from, but I do feel like it is a publicity stunt. And then also Elon um did tr- he did tr- he tweeted about let's see if we can find it. Let's get on Fox News and see if we can find that tweet if it's still here. Um Is it here or did y'all just because I didn't clip the tweet? And Elon, he um he tweets a lot, so this one right here. Um, no, no, no. So basically, Elon said that if Trump gets arrested, he's gonna win by a landslide. Basically, that's gonna be the biggest political uh I mean, it's gonna be a big gimmick if he does. I mean, look, I don't think Trump is above pulling something like this, saying stuff like this. I mean, he said so many things in the last election to get elected. Here's the thing, I think that people are tired of the antics of Trump. He needs to just run on good politics. That's really is his best angle. People are, you know, when you get in office, just do what you say you're going to do. Nobody wants to hear or see all these antics. So move forward here. All right, so um, let's listen to this.
At Charmin, we're all about the science of softness. So, we dubbed the Charmin Ultra to prove its value really stacks up.
First up, the cushy soft test. Wow, softer than ever. Next, the absorbency test.
See, it's 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less. So, Charmin Ultra Soft is always worth it.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have one more test to conduct.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
Donald Trump is
Okay.
under multiple criminal inquiries, but there are signs he may face charges in the first of those this week. For more, I want to talk to the reporter who perhaps knows Trump the best, senior political correspondent for the New York Times, Maggie Haberman, who has been awarded a Pulitzer Prize for her coverage of the former president. Maggie, behind the scenes, what can you tell us about how Trump is handling this situation?
Look, Jake, he's very anxious about the prospect of being indicted for a couple of reasons. Yes, two things can be true at once. He is aware that there are reasons to believe this could help him politically. We have heard a lot about this morning
I
already.
told
But
you.
he does not want to face getting arrested, which is what happens when you get indicted. You get fingerprinted, you get brought in, you have to ask for bail. None of that is something that he is excited about. So he and his folks, his political folks, are preparing for a huge blitz politically to push back on the Manhattan District Attorney. You saw that start yesterday, although I don't think that his Truth Social post yesterday morning calling for protests was part of a grand plan. He did it, and a bunch of his aides were surprised by it. But I do think that that is separate from what you're going to see legally. And while I know that his folks are suggesting this is a weak case, they don't actually know what the evidence is. What it is trivial compared to the other inquiries. That doesn't mean there won't be a conviction, and they have to be mindful of that.
Trump called on his supporters, as you noted, to protest and, quote, take our nation back on that Truth Social post. Obviously, the last time Donald Trump called for his supporters to rally, it resulted in an insurrection at the Capitol. Does he have any concern about violence?
No, this is not something that, he expresses enormous concern about to anyone. That doesn't mean people around him are not concerned about what he's saying about protest, and they are, because as you know well, he is still under investigation. One of these inquiries by the Justice Department is about the events leading up to January 6th and his efforts to stay in power, and there have been lots of people, hundreds, arrested in connection with that attack on the Capitol. So this is not something he voices a whole lot of concern about, but it is absolutely something folks in his world are mindful of, that this is going to keep coming up, especially as he pushes this.
Listen, here's the thing with Trump. If so, him saying that we should protest is perfectly legal in this country. You can tell people to protest on your behalf. Protesting doesn't mean sedition. Sedition is where you telling people to do what they did on January 6th, but um, he didn't tell people to go in there and to do all that. And even though there was even leaders there that was vehemently against them going into the Capitol the way that they did. And so I don't know. I do think that there were a lot of idiots that went in the Capitol, but I do also think that there were people that were in leadership that were against it. So um sometimes that's just the way things go. But here's the thing. This is what I'm saying. I think Trump should lay off the emotionalism. This is what's driving, because people, they get high off of this, of politics. They get high off of politics because if you look at when Trump was in office, his base didn't really do too much once he was in office. I mean, the only time they acted again was when he was getting out of office. So they run on emotionalism. So he's banking on that same tactic to get him back in office, and I just think that he needs to lay off of it, or he really is gonna be end up in a place where he doesn't wanna be. But let's look at the rest of this article. Let's see. So, another witness is expected to testify Monday before the grand jury investigating the hush money payments. Like I said, the hush money isn't illegal. If they had done something illegal in the act, like he paid her to have sex as a prostitute and then paid her to shut up about it, then that will be illegal. But if they had a consensual relationship and then he was trying to give her money to shut up about it, that's not illegal because there was no crime committed during the relationship. But we're going to look a little bit more into what happened or what she says happened because I didn't buy her book. But anyway, we're going to get into her in just a second. Another witness is expected on Monday. So, according to a source familiar with the investigation, it's not clear whether this would be the final witness before it votes on possible indictment. Um, Trump Trump's legal team has been anticipating that an indictment will happen soon and has been preparing behind the scenes for the next steps. So Joe Tacopina, an attorney for Trump, later said the former president has based his claims on press reports. No one tells us anything, which is very frustrating. President Trump is basing his response on press reports, Tacopina said in a statement to CNN. A spokesperson for Trump said earlier Saturday that the former president has not received a notification from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office regarding any potential indictment, but was rightfully highlighting his innocence in his post. Previewing a potential line of defense from Republicans on Capitol Hill, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, a California Republican, which again, he was just sworn in. Remember, Nancy Pelosi stepped down after her husband was um, assaulted in their home. So she stepped down, and this person, remember, they had to vote for him 5,100 times for him to get in there. Anyway, so he tweeted Saturday that any potential indictment of the former president would represent an outrageous abuse of power from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Mike Pence, who served as vice president under Trump, echoed McCarthy's message on Saturday. Well, like many Americans, I'm taken aback. Pence told Breitbart News in a radio interview. The former vice president claimed the Manhattan District Attorney's investigation reeks of political prosecution. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office declined to comment on Saturday. So the protest call reminiscent of January 6 comments. Listen, this is a stretch right here. This is politics right here. This is the thick of it. They're in a battle for this political seat. This has nothing to do with what is really happening in the country. And listen, this is propaganda. This story right here is propaganda. There's nothing in here that's of any useful value to the American public because he did nothing wrong. And the real tea is what we're going to get into in just a second. But I'm telling you, this is the cover story for what they really don't want to report on. Okay. So Trump has complained privately that he believes he is going to be indicted only because he thinks Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg hates him. According to a source familiar with what Trump has said, his call for a protest in response to a potential arrest echoes his final days in office, when he repeatedly urged his supporters to reject the results of the 2020 presidential election, culminating in the deadly January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Some of Trump's advisors had urged him privately not to call for protests. Concern about the optics of a mass protest in the streets of Manhattan growing out of control or resembling the 2021 insurrection. Again, it's not illegal for him to ask for people to protest on his behalf. They're trying to, they can't say, well, let's take his First Amendment rights away. They can't say that. And they can't certainly say that protests are all, um, you know, they're all violent. They're uprisings. They can't say that either. So they're saying, oh well, this looks like it would like another January 6th situation. This is propaganda 101. They are in a battle for this office, this seat here. So Bragg said in an email to staff on Saturday that his office will not tolerate attempts to intimidate our office or threaten the rule of law in New York. Another witness scheduled to testify on Monday, Trump's defense team is expected to be notified following any possible indictment, and then they would engage in negotiations for surrender and an initial appearance. Now, the indictment is to figure out if there has been a crime and then what that crime is, and then they'll press the charges. That's what the indictment would be. The whatever they find is a potential crime, I should say, and what it is that they should be going after. The grand jury is just a group of it could just be a group of all different types of people. It could be just the rank and file, or it could be a group of professionals. They take them in there and they give them evidence, and mind you, the rumor is that a ham sandwich could get indicted. um so they could go in there and they can take all this biased information and say, okay, look, here's this information, and what do you all think? And there's so many laws on the books that anything could be a crime. So you have to take it with a grain of salt. Like, what is he going to be charged with? um, because that's really the thing. He doesn't know yet, but they're looking and they're investigating, because again, he's in a lot of trouble because he had those private documents. But remember, they had a special prosecutor doing that, so this may or may not have something to do with that. Um, Anyway, so another witness is expected to testify Monday before the grand jury investigating the hush money payments, according to a source familiar with the investigation. It is not clear whether this would be a final witness before it votes on a possible indictment. They're just throwing anything at this situation to I'm telling you, this is a scare tactic. This is to put fear in Trump so that he'll sit down. And here's the thing, Trump's pretty old. So I'm wondering if, I mean, he's a tough mother. Shut your mouth. He's standing up to him. I mean, I gotta give it to you. He's got some balls. So let's listen to this. Oh my gosh, is this gonna be a
At
how long is
Charmin,
this
we're all
commercial?
about the signs of
Ugh.
softness. So we doubly
But
tested
yeah,
the Charmin
so
Ultra Soft.
basically, if he does get indicted, like on the video said, he would get arrested and they would take him to, get booked and all that. Biden does have, yes, Biden does have the same charges that they're trying to put on Trump with that special prosecutor. Remember, they had found all those documents at Mar-a-Lago or in Trump's uh, private residence. They found all those confidential and top secret documents and all this stuff. I wonder if it was the UFO files, child. I don't know. But then weeks later, they find the same types of documents in Biden's home. But here's the thing with Biden. The thing with Biden, he don't know whether who is coming in and out of his house. Ain't that? Hold on, let's
The
listen.
Trump administration, I have to ask you about the news of the day. The news that former President Trump has posted on Truth Social just this morning that he expects to be arrested on Tuesday and is also calling for protests, telling his supporters to, quote, take our nation back. Your thoughts?
Hey, that's why I could not find it on Twitter, because he posted it on Truth Social.
Well, just to explain, if he's about to be arrested, it almost certainly means he's going to be indicted first. He's going to be required to come in and surrender himself to answer to the indictment. So it's not.
But Steve Bannon was they just gave Bannon a bunch of probation.
Random decision. I strongly believe in a free society, there's got to be one rule of law for everybody. I think that's clear. I don't know how you make that judgment when you're talking about a case involving somebody paying hush money to a prostitute or a stripper. I only know one person who's ever done that. I worked for him. It's a kind of strange situation. But I'll say this. However guilty Trump may be, and having very much in mind the one rule of law for everybody, if they indict and fail to convict in New York, I think historians would look back and say that is the act that reelected Donald Trump president. So I hope those prosecutors in New York are very, very certain of their case.
Well, I've opined here that in the four buckets that I perceive where he faces legal peril, this is, in my opinion, the weakest of them. And I have to believe that there's a risk here of this taint, might not be the right word, but tainting the prosecutions that follow. He's got a right to vigorously defend himself against this and any other charges that might flow. What I don't like is him calling for protests, because to me, it's reminiscent of January 6th.
Propaganda watch, fam. Propaganda watch. That right there is get y'all scared. We ain't scared, fam. We're not scared.
Well, I think this is an important issue. My own view on January the 6th is it was not an insurrection. It was a riot. It was one of the saddest days in
This is
America.
what I'm telling you. A few people got rowdy. So did they a few people got rowdy at the George Floyd protest. And what was black people saying? You can't blame all black people for that shit. Some black people got crazy, yeah, but most black people didn't. Some people got crazy at the January 6th protest, and most people didn't. You can't just blame that on everybody. And this is propaganda. They're just lying because they don't want to tell you about what they really should be reporting on, which we're going to get to in a second. But this right here, this old fool is willing to fearmonger you. So he's doing the same thing Trump is doing. He's trying to get you emotionally involved so that you don't think about what's really happening in the country.
American history, but it was not an attempted coup because I didn't think Donald Trump had the wits to conduct a coup. But now,
how is a coup you saying protest? A coup is what happened when JFK got killed, and the Dulles brothers took over the government and put in Lyndon B. Johnson. That was a coup. Let's just stop it. Okay. Let's look at what the real thing is. Let's call a thing a thing. This ain't no coup. That wasn't no coup. That was him riling up the emotions, which I do agree that he do need to stop it with the emotional stuff and get to real politics. This country is falling, and it's because people is playing racquetball, tennis ball, and the proletariat, the rank and file, the you and me, we out here looking crazy because they sitting here playing little dumb chess games. We need the country to get back on track, fam. What are y'all doing? This is time wasting, but we still have to go through it because this is what they're doing. Somebody has to call this out publicly, like a strong organization, and it can't be the NAACP. They done sold us out, fam. They done sold us out. It can't be them. Somebody needs to call this out more than what it is. Both sides. Donald Trump tripping, get back to regular politics, and y'all need to stop with the antics. Let's get to it.
having seen the history, if he's calling people into the streets, this time he's seen the experience of January the 6th, and I think this is potentially very dangerous. So again, people, law enforcement in New York obviously has to be concerned with the safety of the citizens of New York. But if something happens in this that allows Trump to make it into a campaign issue, it's going to be very serious. I know this must be galling to many people, but keep your eye on the ball is what I'd say. If you don't want Donald Trump to be elected president again, for God's sakes, be careful how you act.
Now, here's the thing. I do think Trump is using this as a multiplier to gain public support. I really do. I don't think that he's going to be, if he is indicted over him taking hush money. I mean, what is he going to get? A slap on the wrist? This isn't like a serious crime. If let's just get into, hold on, let's finish the rest of this, and then we're going to get into the Stormy Daniels interview. Okay, so law enforcement discussions have been about how to navigate the potential indictment for a criminal charge by a New York County grand jury and the choreography around the possibility of an unprecedented arrest of a former president. Should he be indicted, the former president expected to surrender and go through the process of being processed and arraigned at the courthouse, which includes fingerprinting and mugshot. A source familiar with the matter told CNN. So you telling me that the president don't got fingerprints on file? The president don't got a full long length file on file. That's what you're saying. Okay. I think this is a dog and pony show, and they might arrest him. But again, I think this is, listen, all the world's a stage. However, there could be some could be some accommodations to expedite how quickly Trump is processed and how long he is in the building, the source said. For example, the source explained officials would try to get him in front of a judge immediately. The New York Police Department did not immediately respond to CNN's inquiry following Trump's protests on Saturday, but New York City law enforcement sources told CNN that security for a possible indictment um, against Trump was discussed as part of the NYPD daily briefing Saturday morning, and that social media is being monitored daily for any threats. Okay, well, it should be. Y'all should be. They always monitoring something anyway. Um, so this is the Stormy Daniels, Jimmy Kimmel. She has decided in her latest spot on the ABC night show. Let's see. Let's look at her really quick. Is it? Oops. This is some, I just like, oh. This right here is Stormy Daniels, okay? She is the prostitute, I guess. Let's look at the interview, but she's the porn star slash prostitute slash whatever. But let's just look at the is this the one? No. This is it. Here we go.
That are too dirty to name, and for having sex with the world's most notorious orange person. Her new memoir is called Full Disclosure. Please welcome Stormy Daniels. How you doing? I'm so happy you're here, and Sarah's happy you're here.
I'm happy you're here.
We talked during the commercial, and Sarah's like, "I would love to chat."
And actually like to stay.
Yeah.
So I'm here.
Are always better.
She did it right away, folks. Right away.
A lot has changed since the last time you were here. You were really not allowed to say anything. What has changed? Why are you now allowed to say things?
I have left peeps to give.
You don't care. You're like, forget it. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good. That's great news. That's really good news. And I enjoyed the book. The book is not just about the situation with Donald Trump. It's about your life. You had a tough life, but you became a very tough person. And that actually comes in handy, I think, in this situation. You mentioned at the beginning of the book, that I know a lot of you are just going to skip right to the Trump chapter. So let's skip right to the Trump chapter.
I remember you saying, I won't forget the life jackets.
Who talks like that?
You apparently.
Can we watch the replay?
I would love it.
This What Really Happened replay is brought to you by Progressive. One thing no one would challenge, protecting your home and auto with Progressive.
Wow, that is embarrassing.
Yeah, a little bit.
You can't get away from commercials.
Is life-changing.
You used to be able to watch TV and not have to worry about commercials. No more.
You met the president. That wasn't the president at the time.
Right.
Just for those who don't know, at a golf tournament in Lake Tahoe.
Mhm.
He had an option of stopping to take a photo with you, and he stopped to take a photo with you.
Right.
And then he invited you to dinner.
Correct.
You figured the dinner would be at a restaurant.
Mhm.
Where,
I didn't think it was going to be a picnic.
right, exactly. It was not going to be in a park, but it would be in a restaurant. But it turned out that he wanted to have dinner in his room.
I don't think he wanted to have dinner at all.
You definitely want to have a certain kind of dinner.
I think he wanted to go straight to dessert.
Something to dessert. Yeah. Yeah.
So he shows up, and this is the first moment where I was just delighted to hear this little detail.
Look how happy you are.
I know.
I bring you such joy.
You really-
You're more excited than the part about you.
You,
The part about Jimmy.
And there is a part about me. Unfortunately, it's not that kind of a
It's
part.
not about his parts.
Oh.
I mean, it's just very clear.
Well, then never mind.
The door to the hotel opens, and what is Donald Trump wearing?
Silky pajamas.
And they were black pajamas,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So he immediately looks like a Halloween pumpkin or something.
I'm pretty sure I thought he was channeling Hugh Hefner.
Hugh Hefner, right? You mentioned that.
Significantly less sexy.
You made him change, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You made him change?
Yeah.
You made him change. He did change.
Yes.
I wish you could make him change now.
He followed orders much better back then.
I don't know. I think maybe you could still order him around a little bit. And
I'd have to speak in Russian though.
you guys had dinner.
Wow.
This is very good.
Oh, this is very bad. I know this is very, very bad.
What did you guys talk about at dinner? I know because I've read it.
Actually, we never had dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Like he lied to me. I'm very food motivated. That's why I stayed and held out for so long because I was told there would be snacks.
And
maybe that's part of why I was easy prey because I was, lightheaded from.
But he did talk about himself a lot.
Yeah.
You did see a magazine on the table or something.
No, he pulled it out of a bag.
He pulled it out of the bag.
And I kind of refused to acknowledge it.
He's on the cover of the magazine.
Yeah.
And you don't know for sure that it was Forbes, but you thought.
No, I don't think it was. I think it was a money magazine. Somebody else made up that it was Forbes.
Whatever it was, you spanked him with it. What does he do? Like when you spank Donald Trump, is he like?
Are you arching your back?
Yes, I want to. Is he like leaning forward and going like, oh, like?
What the hell?
You want me to show you?
Yeah, I would love you to show me. Thank you. Yeah.
So long story short, this woman had this escapade with Donald Trump. Okay. So the point is I wanted to go over this right here. This is some of the things that are happening right now. Is just why
it turned out to be a trove of fascinating information. It included for some reason no one in law enforcement appeared to be listening or
hold on. Why we're being distracted with this whole mumbo jumbo? This is what's really happening in the country.
For some reason, no one in law enforcement appeared to be listening or even care. But the Daily Mail kept going on this. Recently, they said they gained access to a backup of Hunter Biden's iPhone from the laptop. And it's a good thing they did. It turned out to be a trove of fascinating information. It included a voicemail from Joe Biden to his son talking about a story in the New York Times about Hunter Biden's business dealings in China. Here's part of it.
Hey, Palace Dad, it's 8:15 on Wednesday night. If you get a chance, give me a call. Nothing urgent. Just want to talk to you. I thought the article, at least the thing online, it's going to be printed tomorrow in the Times, was good. I think it's clear. And anyway, if you get a chance, give me a call. I love you.
So the context for that is complicated. Here's what's not complicated. Joe Biden has said on the record repeatedly that he had no knowledge of his son's business dealings with China. That proves Joe Biden was lying.
Right.
We have a lot more on this coming up. But just know that voicemail, which apparently is real, proves that Joe Biden knew about his son's business dealings with China. That ought to be enough to spur a wave of media inquiries to the White House, why did you lie to us? You haven't seen that. Now, the Times piece you just heard Joe Biden reference was published on December 12, 2018. The story reported on Hunter's dealings with a man called Yi Zhiming. He led the CEFC China Energy Company until 2018. At that point, he was arrested on charges of corruption and economic crimes by the Chinese government, which is never a good thing. He hasn't been seen since. The government of China has seized most of CFFC's assets.
Hey, China is real quick to it's so weird because um Jack Ma, I think, ended up coming up missing. He recently came up, back in the light, but a lot of their top people come up missing all of a sudden, and their assets get just coincidentally swindled by China. This is a thing for them. But let's move forward.
One of his top deputies, called Patrick Ho, was also convicted in New York of bribing African officials to help Iran avoid oil sanctions. What a group. These are Hunter Biden's business friends. So why would Joe Biden have any interest in this? Why would he be concerned about a New York Times story on CEFC and Hunter Biden? Well, it could be for the obvious reason. Joe Biden himself was making money from this, from CEFC, lots of money.
Okay. Doesn't it sound eerily familiar where somebody was making foreign money with oil? I hope y'all are reminiscent of somebody with
according
the Bushes was making money with bin Laden in his oil company.
According to emails obtained by the New York Post from Hunter Biden's laptop in October of 2020, one of Hunter Biden's business partners, James Gillier, explained that Joe Biden would receive a 10% stake in CEFC. Quote, the equity will be distributed as follows, he wrote. 20 to Hunter, 20 to Rob Walker, 20 to Gillier himself, 20 to Tony Bobulinski, 10 to Jimmy Biden, that would be Hunter Biden, that would be the president's brother, and quote, 10% held for the big guy. The big guy. So Tony Bobulinski, whom we interviewed for a full hour, he got a 20% stake of this deal, told us that there was, quote, no question the big guy is who he so obviously is. That would be Joe Biden. This arrangement meant millions of Chinese dollars for Hunter and Joe Biden. In early 2017, just a few weeks after Biden left the White House the first time, a company controlled by Yi called State Energy HK sent $6 million in wire transfers to Robinson Walker LLC. Robinson Walker LLC was controlled by Rob Walker, one of Hunter Biden's business partners. Then, in June of 2017, Hunter Biden emailed Yi demanding $10 million more as seed money for a new company called Sinohawk Holdings. In August of 2017, another Hunter Biden-controlled company called Hudson West received a $5 million wire from CEFC. CEFC also paid Hunter Biden's law firm, Owasco, nearly $5 million. These are according to bank records reviewed by Senate investigators. If we just pause here for a moment. In their details, these stories bear a striking resemblance to the Russiagate insanity that we were dragged through for years. Remember, they go on TV and bore you for an hour with how all these things fit together, and then this money went that way. But in the end, there was nothing there. Operating on the theory, which isn't really a theory, it's true that they always accuse you of exactly what they themselves are doing. It's kind of striking,
right,
that the truth about what the Biden family, the president, his son, and his brother Jimmy, is almost exactly what they accused the Trumps of doing. Except in the case of the Bidens, they really were getting rich from a foreign power that means us harm. And it's not Russia, which is globally almost irrelevant. It's China, which is now preeminent. So to continue with the details, Owasco in turn.
But just to be clear, Russia and China are allies. This is why China has been eerily quiet when it comes to the war in Ukraine and Russia.
And sent the $1.4 million to Lion Hall Consulting. That was a consulting firm run by Jimmy Biden, the former nightclub owner, the president's brother, and his wife. And that was just the beginning of the arrangement. Emails unearthed by the New York Post found that someone called the chairman, that would be Yi, promised to pay Hunter Biden $10 million a year for, quote, and we're quoting, introductions alone. In other words, leveraging his father's position in government to get rich. That's illegal, right?
Yep.
It's also a violation of the FARA Act, which the Biden administration has been enforcing against its political enemies. So Hunter Biden wrote to a CEFC official that Yi had amended the deal to provide for, quote, a much more lasting and lucrative arrangement, end quote. These payments continued even after CEFC's leaders were arrested on corruption charges. Hunter was paid another $1 million to represent Yi's deputy, Patrick O, even though he had no criminal defense experience, because he was a lawyer, because he went to Yale Law School, because he's a genius, the one that your kids can't get into because they're not as smart as Hunter Biden. Ooh, this is one corrupt system the Bidens sit atop of. And if that's not enough, Hunter once referred to Patrick O, and we're quoting, as the effing spy chief of China, according to leaked audio obtained by Real Clear Politics. So here you have the president's son who's talking to his dad about his business deal with China, admitting the guy he is dealing with is the Chinese government's spy chief. It's almost unbelievable. Joe Biden has sort of been asked about.
Now remember that when Trump was in office, he put all those sanctions on China. Remember? Also, he was the one that was out in China about that, the C-19. He was the one that was saying, hey, it's coming from over there. It's coming from Wuhan. And they was like, oh, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe he's saying this, but everybody knows that's where it came from. And then when you know it, there was these reports that came out from the labs that said, hey, yeah, recently, it came in from the Far East, over there in China, like he said.
About this, his response, I didn't know anything.
Mr. Biden, have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business. I have never discussed with my son or my brother or anyone else anything having to do with their businesses, period.
That just sounds like a flat out lie. People, listen. If it's somebody that close to you, there's no way that you're not going to say, hey, this might be a conflict of interest if you're doing business. Just like when Trump, they was talking about how did he get all that money to build, not Shangri-La, that one in Jersey, that Trump's hotel in Jersey. What is it called? In New Jersey. Dang, it was called Atlantic City. No, not the Trump Plaza. I forgot, but it's not saying here. It's not. Oh yeah, the Taj Mahal. They was like, where did he get the money to buy to build the Taj Mahal? And they was saying that he's clicked in with the Bratva, but nobody actually proved that. The Bratva is the Russian mafia, but nobody can actually prove that he's clicked in over there. They had some circumstantial evidence saying that, okay, well, he knows people that knows people. Well, it's New York and everybody goes to New York to build, so you might know somebody that knows somebody. So that kind of is inconsequential, but let's move forward.
You lie, and now you've been caught lying. So after the voicemail we played a moment ago surfaced a few weeks ago, proving that Biden lied, the White House was asked about this. Not the president directly, but his publicist, the glass ceiling breaking publicist they're always bragging about. Watch the response.
Why is there a voicemail of the president talking to his son about his overseas business dealings if the president has said he's never spoken to his son about his overseas business dealings?
Well, first I'll say that what the president said stands. So if that's what the president said, that is what stands. And secondly,
a New York Times article concerning Hunter Biden's business dealings, and he says, "I think you're clear." How is that not him talking to his son about his overseas business?
Right.
We're not, from this podium, I am not going to talk about alleged materials from the laptop.
So are you disputing the president's voice on the voicemail?
I'm not going to talk about alleged materials on the laptop.
Are
it's
you
not
disputing
happening.
Then that it is not?
Peter, I refer you to his son's representative.
alleged material. So they can get away with that because no major news organization in the United States picked up the thread. We tried to.
How is it alleged when it's got him on the voicemail talking about the business? What are you talking about? This is one of those things where you get caught cheating and then you be like, well, it wasn't me. You know that Shaggy song? It wasn't he said I got he got caught on the sofa in the basement. But while he getting caught red-handed, he's talking about it wasn't me. He might as well drop a rap video. Hold
A
on.
talk show. We flew to Zurich because we thought, wow, maybe there's something there. But the big newspapers completely ignored this, even though it's been out there for a year and a half. And it's obvious it's not just about Hunter Biden being a crackhead who liked hookers. It's about the Biden family, including the President of the United States, business dealings with the government of China, which seeks to displace the United States globally. So,
well, we can't say too much about that, mostly because we've given them the power to do so. Listen, Americans can't go anywhere to purchase property. We can't go anywhere and purchase land. We cannot. Anybody can come here and purchase property. Anybody. That's a huge upper hand advantage. This is some of the most prime real estate on earth here in America. Anybody can purchase here, but us as Americans, we can't just go anywhere and purchase land. We can't go to Jamaica and purchase it. We can't go to Africa. It's real unstable purchasing it in Africa. You can, but it's real unstable. You might get sold the same plot of land 2, 3, 4 times over. Don't know if it's actually yours, and then you caught up in court. And no, nothing is more prime than the American soil. So we've given them this opportunity to do it. We certainly can't go to China and purchase land there. But let's move forward.
So because no news organizations would take this up, and because law enforcement agencies seem completely uninterested, the FBI has had a copy of this laptop for years now and done nothing with it. It's fallen to people like Jack Maxey to find out what this is about. So on Sunday, a programmer who worked with Maxey posted a live stream video outlining his intention of dropping Hunter Biden's entire hard drive online.
So all
along with clues
what they're
for
doing
users
is
to break
they're
into
trying
the
to cover up the crimes that Joe Biden and his son have been doing. So his son is doing back-end business deals with China. Joe Biden knows about this. He's lied to it publicly. In addition to that, people are going in and out of Joe Biden's home with classified documents. Nobody's saying anything about that. See, again, there is this big, oh, Donald Trump might get arrested, but what about what's really happening in the country? Let's look at this next tweet here. This is why they're distracting the country with a Trump indictment. They're desperate to get people to not focus on the fact that the U.S. financial system is effectively insolvent. Banks hold over 600 billion in unrealized losses. That's closer to a trillion than it is to just a billion. If everyone tries to pull money out, it collapses. Unrealized gains or losses on investment securities, right? So held to maturity securities, these are the this is the this bar right here is this is a bad deal right here. These long bars is not good. This is a normal market, ups and downs, ups and downs. This long bars, that's crazy. That is crazy. So all in all, Trump is being used and he's allowing himself to be used. He's allowing himself to be used so that they don't have to talk about the economy because Silicon Valley Bank just collapsed. FTX, remember the crypto situation with FTX? I'm not sure if you guys know that, but FTX was a cryptocurrency exchange, like Coinbase or KuCoin or any of those Binance, any of those types of where they hold a lot of holdings. They not only have, sometimes they have their own coin. Like Bitcoin is usually on every every exchange. Um, with Webull though, I don't know if you can even purchase Bitcoin anymore. I'm not sure, but um, what is it called? Robinhood is another currency exchange. So these currency exchanges, they make money based off of the highs and lows of the day. Who's making money, who's buying and selling, and they get the vig, they get the middleman's cut. But the collapse of let's see here, FTX is what kind of triggered all of these collapses within the banking system, because all of those celebrities were basically champion and promoting this cryptocurrency exchange, right? Like, oh, everybody, you should purchase this, you should put your money in. A lot of people lost money, a lot of people. And let's see here. Time magazine is reporting here. Effective altruist leaders were repeatedly warned about Sam Bankman-Fried's years before the FTX collapse. Now, oh boy. Leaders of the effective altruism movement were repeatedly warned beginning in 2018 that Sam Bankman-Fried was unethical, duplicitous, and negligent in his role as CEO of Alameda Research. Now, Alameda Research was supposed to be kind of like an institute that researched just different things. It was not the same thing as FTX. It's two different companies. Now, they can work in tandem, but they were two separate companies effectively doing one thing, and FTX was respectively the currency exchange. The crypt you could very well been doing business with FTX and without doing any business with Alameda Research. The crypto trading firm that went on to play a critical role in what federal prosecutors now say was among the biggest financial frauds in U.S. history. They apparently dismissed those warnings, sources say, before taking tens of millions of dollars from Bankman-Fried's charitable fund for effective altruist causes. Here's the thing. This guy was also um, he was also funding um, campaigns. He was also funding political campaigns with this money that he was getting from all these celebrities and all these rank and file people who were investing in this um, in his coin. Let's see here. Let me see if CoffeeZilla, I'm not sure if you guys know who that is, but he did a really good let's see here. Um, yeah, he did a really good one. Well, let's choose Vice because I don't know if CopyZilla went.
Single platform. Go to Wix.com and get a.
Why
Hey everyone.
we're being distracted.
This is Motherboard Editor-in-Chief Jason Kepler. I'm here with Edward Ongweso Jr. and Emily Lipstein, and we're here to talk about FTX, which has just imploded. It is one of the largest crypto disasters of all time. They owe more than 1 million people money. Edward, what is FTX?
So FTX is a cryptocurrency exchange. It's the second largest one. It's a place where you can go and take your dollars and exchange them for any cryptocurrency that you want, but also for more complex trades or financial instruments that are connected to cryptocurrency. And so customers have put billions of dollars there. I think over 13 billion in.
The leverage is $13 billion. That means you don't have $13 billion, but you are basically borrowing it to where you have this amount of money hanging or you're leveraging this amount of money, but not all of this is your money.
Week realized that they weren't able to take any of the money out. FTX said that, this was fine. They were just going through a little bit of a bump. And by the next day, we're filing bankruptcy, claiming that they didn't have enough money to offer everyone withdrawals from the exchange.
So essentially, this ended up being a huge pyramid scheme, but let's continue.
Right. And so they have this a sort of really well-known leader, CEO, founder named Sam Bankman-Fried.
Rob Ross.
He is a 30-year-old who was worth $16 billion, and he was supposed to be the world's first trillionaire, according to some media profiles of him. Emily, what sort of like role did FTX have in the broader consciousness? Like, who is Sam Bankman-Fried hanging out with?
Yeah, I mean, just starting off, you might remember that Larry David commercial from the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I'm never wrong about this stuff. Never.
That was for FTX. Tom Brady had investments there, Gisele Bündchen. Even the umpires during the most recent World Series had the FTX logo on the side of their uniforms. But even beyond that, there's kind of been a lot of talk in a gossipy kind of way about the situation that Sam Bankman-Fried and a lot of the higher-ups at FTX and a related company called Alameda Research, they're based in the Bahamas, and there's like lots of talk of it being like a polycule. The CEO of Alameda Research, this girl named Caroline Ellison, had this Tumblr blog that was unearthed, and basically she described the various structures of the relationships between everybody living in this place in the Bahamas as this Chinese harem where everybody was ranked in terms of their relationship structure, which lot of stuff going on there.
Basically, they were all having sex with each other. And they were all running this company into the ground. All while they was taking all that money and basically making it into a pyramid schemes. But let's continue.
Right. And so Sam Bankman-Fried, there was a New Yorker profile that stated that he only wears pants when he's testifying in front of Congress. He was hanging out with like all these DC types, and he was supposed to legitimize cryptocurrency. He was sort of seen as the like responsible one in industry that's known for all these Ponzi schemes and scams and so on and so forth. And it's like, Edward, I mean, he's just like the rest of them. Like, this dude is now perhaps under federal investigation.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's surprising maybe is that it was to a larger degree. I mean, he took $13 billion of customer money and gave it to Alameda or used it for risky bets that have left him with maybe $900 million of assets that can be sold, which is why they declared bankruptcy, because they don't have anybody's money anymore. They have a multi-billion-dollar hole in the account.
They didn't even have a billion of the nine. They didn't even have $1 billion. They were funneling it to Alameda Research. They were using it for whatever.
Out now, and I think also this is also going like to reverberate right throughout the little ecosystem in crypto, because FTX had also come in earlier this year offering bailout packages, offering credit, offering loans to struggling exchanges, and now it is not able to provide any of that money. It also provided grants to media outlets. It provided grants to charitable foundations. So all of this money dries up because they were too busy gambling it on, other crypto stuff. And this is, we're going to be feeling the consequences of that for a while.
Right. I mean, essentially, the reporting has shown that they were basically taking customer money and investing it in other ventures. And then when the customers wanted to pull it out, they were like, well, there's no money to pull out.
That's essentially what a pyramid scheme is. That's what a pyramid scheme is.
There was a court filing earlier this week stating that they may owe more than 1 million customers money. And so a lot of people are going to be really mad about this. I think it's important to talk also a little bit about like Sam Bankman-Fried has been seen as this kind of like boy genius who was supposed to legitimize crypto, but also was part of this weird Silicon Valley philosophy known as effective altruism, where basically you try to make as much money as humanly possible and then donate it to causes that you believe to be worthy. And so, I mean, there's all these profiles of him basically like sleeping on beanbag chairs and living in this like weird Bahamas penthouse where allegedly everyone's sleeping with each other. FTX apparently also had a company therapist that was like helping people look for dating options, which is a story we did earlier this week. It's a very messy situation. And as you
Nothing to do with trying to really diversify the investments. They weren't supposed to be taking people's money and spending it on different investments. If they were to do something like that, they would have to take their earnings, not the customer's money, to do it with. But instead, they decided to take all those billions of dollars and just throw it at the wall.
mentioned, I think that there's going to be like quite a lot of fallout from this, both on like a social level and a reputation level, but also, you know, a lot of people are losing a lot of money here.
Yeah, the scale of money that's going to be lost, I think that's just going to threaten the ability of crypto to make the case that institutions should use it, right? If the most trustworthy face was engaged in a really deeply fraudulent scheme that investigators across the country are interested in, you know, pursuing criminal charges for, then that doesn't speak too well for the rest of the ecosystem, right? So it's going to be hard, especially because they've lost money on this. Canada had a pension fund that was, I think, about $90 million in the hole after FTX's bankruptcy, right? So you're not going to get pension fund investors, you're not going to get university endowments. You're going to get a lot of the money, a lot of the big money backing out of this at a time when customer interest and activity in crypto is also down, right?
Right. Emily, I mean, what's next here?
I mean, I don't even know. Look, this guy is theoretically on the run. People thought that they saw him playing League of Legends online, but apparently he's playing a different video game right now to like clear his head. It really just seems like everything is going down in the worst possible way.
Like all of us, he's tweeting through it, right?
Yeah, he keeps tweeting through it. And it's like, where is he? What are you doing? Where's all of the money? And he has none of it now.
Oh yeah, by the way, he still had some money in his account, right? So there was still some money in the coffers of FTX's bank, and somehow it just magically ended up missing, gone, finito. And he didn't know anywhere, he had no idea where it went.
Right. He keeps apologizing on Twitter, keeps saying that they're going to get money, and yet they don't know where they're going to get money from. He owes all these people money. The entire crypto industry is very upset, and it's going to have like wider ramifications. This is an ongoing story. I mean, I don't know what happens next, but DOJ is allegedly looking into him. We've talked to a lot of people saying that, you know, there is going to be legal consequence here. So stay tuned as FTX turns.
All right.
I'm Michael Lerma,
Well,
editor-in-chief
I mean, it's horrible that
of Vice News. Too often, traditional news outlets shy away from the real stories and experiences of those living through global conflicts. Not Vice News. Our reporters are on the ground, fearlessly covering the human stories that shape our world. You and millions of others can continue to read, watch, and listen to Vice News for free. But we hope you'll consider making a one-time or ongoing contribution of any size at vice.com/contribute. Every contribution, no matter how big or small, helps support the journalism Vice News brings to you every day. Thank you.
All right, so let's go ahead and look at this here, because this basically is the trickle down effect of XTX falling, because again, he was in Silicon Valley, right? So let's look at this.
When Silicon Valley Bank collapsed last week, it set off a domino effect across the banking industry. Signature Bank failed too. First Republic had to be bailed out by other banks. Overseas, Credit Suisse needed a big loan from the Swiss version of the Fed to stay afloat. And all that drama led a lot of us to wonder, how safe is the money I have socked away? And how did this all happen in the first place? NBC's business and data reporter Brian Chung explains in our Sunday Focus.
The stunning collapse of Silicon Valley Bank last week sent shockwaves through the banking sector.
Silicon Valley Bank becoming the second largest bank failure in U.S. history.
Rattling customers.
They just came out and told us that the bank is shut down.
And stoking fears of another financial crisis.
Americans can rest assured that our banking system is safe.
SVB, true to its name, grew as fast as the tech industry did. The bank of choice for startups and venture capital funds, the bank expanded at a breakneck pace, all the while putting much of its capital into safe, long-term investments like U.S. government bonds. But as inflation hit and interest rates rose, those investments became far less valuable.
The market did not respond like they thought, and the ramifications were that they were running out of money.
Word soon spread in the tight-knit tech community that SVB was selling investments at a loss to shore up its balance sheet. Panic crept in, and customers suddenly wanted their cash back fast. On March 9, SVB customers withdrew $42 billion in just 10 hours. A day later, SVB collapsed, followed shortly by Signature Bank. U.S. bank regulators quickly moved to stabilize the markets this week, announcing they would fully insure all deposits at the two failed banks, meaning people would get their money back beyond the $250,000 FDIC limit, as the Fed offered a new way for banks to get cash quick if they needed it.
This week's actions demonstrate our resolute commitment to ensure that our financial system remains strong and that depositors' savings remain safe.
On Thursday, a group of 11 major banks also pledged $30 billion to help prop up First Republic. Another bank sparking fears it could be the next to go.
Are you worried about this same issue playing out at other banks as well?
I think the vast majority of the banks, including the regional banks, are quite healthy, quite sound, but fear is a real problem.
Former FDIC Chair Sheila Bair says the root cause of these closures is as old as banking itself.
Yeah. Classic Jimmy Stewart problem.
Bair, of course, referring to that holiday classic, It's a Wonderful Life.
Don't look now, but there's something funny going on over there at the bank, George.
George Bailey, played by James Stewart, begs his customers not to withdraw their money in a panic all at once.
You're thinking of this place all wrong, as if I had the money back in a safe. The money's not here.
If depositors rush into a bank and want all their money out at once, they will force an otherwise healthy bank to close.
The Jimmy Stewart era of showing up at your bank branch is over. Bank runs nowadays are an all-out sprint. Supercharged by smartphones and social media, people can shift money and sow panic faster than ever.
Yep.
It's a not so wonderful sign that modern banking, for all its advances, is still at the mercy of our most primal nature.
We can get through this thing all right. We've got to stick together, though. We've got to have faith in each other.
And Brian is joining us now. Hey, Brian, good morning. So listen, as you have laid out there this week, the markets felt a little nervous. I think people felt a little nervous. And now everybody's looking ahead to a key meeting from the Federal Reserve coming up in just a few days. Bottom line, what are they going to do? Raise rates again? Are they not? Where do we think they're going to land?
Yeah, Hallie, well, prior to all the banking issues, the mission was clear, right? Lower inflation, make borrowing costs higher to take steam out of this economy and slow inflation from the 6% yearly rate it's at now to hopefully somewhere closer to 2%. But the bank blowups complicate that because one of the dominoes to fall that led to SVB's collapse was the Fed raising rates at the fastest pace since the 80s, with 6 hikes of at least half a point in just the last year. So even though the expectation was for additional rate hikes to continue,
well, they've been having a meeting every month about to raise them high to raise the Fed is just having a good old time, even though they know that the gas is high, the produce is high, everything is high, rent is high, everything is high, and now to purchase a home and everything else is high. Now, the FTX collapse, that was one thing. But also remember during the pandemic when Robinhood stopped people from taking money out. I remember I was in a couple of trades and I was trying to get out and they would not let me get out of those trades. So this banking, this electronic banking it's been a couple years now. They're trying to say it just happened because of the Fed. It didn't just happen because of the Fed. It didn't. We're constantly being told how to shift our money and how we should be responding to that. But when things like the FTX situation happens, when things like the Robinhood situation happens, when Silicon Valley happens, when Wells Fargo, Bank of America are not letting people take money out of the banks, these things have been happening and brewing, and they're acting like these things are all in a vacuum, and they're not. They're all there's going to be a fever pitch pretty soon. And when that happens, they're not going to be able to put a some type of propaganda story over it to say, oh, well, it's just this or it's just that. The proletariat are highly upset about the way banking is done in this country. We shouldn't have to always be at the whim of the banks, of corporate interests, and we're left holding the bag. We're left fixing the roads, we're left fixing the immigration issue, we're left fixing um, the trucking issue when they can't get across the country because of roads being closed. We're left paying for elections. We're left paying for just about everything that happens. And right now, this election is coming up, and they want you to focus on Donald Trump and him being indicted, but they don't want to talk about how this country is going to get back on track. Now, Joe Biden did have that. He had this. It was a $3.3 trillion Build Back Better plan, but only portion of that got approved through Congress. So, and the portion that got approved wasn't very helpful to the economy because it's still collapsing. It's still collapsing. So I don't understand the story of the propaganda that they're telling you isn't really reflective of how we're going to end up balancing out the books or end up better than we were in the previous 5 to 10 years. Because what it looks like is it's going to be another 2012 situation where we're going into a deep and heavy recession. And these bank bailouts are very reminiscent of the banks bailouts when the housing market bust, when that bubble happened. So I just want you to think about something. Make sure that when these stories are coming out, the first thing they want you to do is get scared. They want you to be fearful of Donald Trump being indicted and that there's going to be some type of riot, or there's some kind of going to be he's causing sedition. All these things are propaganda. What we should be concerned at and not fearful of, but concerned with, was how is the money going to be moved so that we can take care of our families here in America. That's the most important part. They're not talking to you about that. They're saying they're trying to make it seem like all these different things are happening in a vacuum. Like, well, this one thing doesn't have to do with the other, and it does have to do with the other. It's like a chain link, a chain of events that is, I'm telling you, if they keep acting like things don't matter when they actually do, by the time the economy collapses, they're going to say, I don't know how that happened. Well, nobody was concerned with what needed to be concerned with. I had a dream, or God, and God came to me in the dream, and He showed me that a lot of people are focused on the wrong thing. A lot of people, a lot of them, they're focused on the wrong things. And right now, our economy is number one because if our economy is not straight, guess what's happening? All kind of crime. Not only that, people are being snatched off the streets and human trafficked for their organs, for sex, for labor. Crimes are going to go up because the economy is not balanced. That could mean that's coming from your household. We all have friends and family that we love that we don't want to see snatched up off the street, but that's what it's coming to. There's going to be a hike in drugs and drug use and suicides because people can't handle the pressure of not being able to pay their rent because it's going up high. The cost of living is out of this world right now. Everything around us, from the gas to the food to our jobs not being able to supply enough money for us to handle all of these things. Those are the things that are most important that we need to worry about. We have to worry about the books because the books prevents some of these things from happening. People are being snatched off the street and nobody's talking about this. Suicides and drug overdoses. The economy is collapsing. People aren't able to pay their bills with one job, even two jobs. They're still not able to make the bills with two jobs. And they're talking to you about Trump might get indicted for some hush money for a prostitute he hired. Does that make sense to you? That's the biggest story today. When we looked at what Tucker Carlson was talking about on Twitter when he was saying that the Hunter Biden um, laptop contained the fact that he's doing business with China, who means to disable the American economy. That's another variable in this here. So we have so many different things coming at us, not to mention the immigration issue. They're coming here. Who's paying for that? What about the added crime and the added drug use with people who also can't? If we listen, if the standards here in America can't balance things out, what do you think is going to happen with the immigrants that come here, the migrants that come here? It makes no sense. So we have to keep focused. We don't need to be in fear. We don't. What the media is trying to do, and Donald Trump is not helping, is to fuel fear in you so that you're focused on an election, but you're not focused on what this election is going to bring. What type of resources? Because that's the whole point of politics, is bringing resources from point A to point B. Donald Trump might be arrested, but at the end of the day, let's say Donald Trump doesn't get in office. Who is going to bring us the resources to help us get these balance our books balanced here in America? The rank and file, you and I. We're not in politics. We're not doing back end deals with China. We don't have a bunch of um, fancy networks to catch us if we fall here. We have to get this right. And what we're doing is, the media, if you follow the media, even social media, alternative media, if we're focused on the wrong things, we're going to miss it. And this is the wrong time to miss the right thing. We're in a time where it's the wrong time to miss the right thing. We have to stay focused on family values and how to make sure that we maintain our households and balance our households. So many things are trying to come at us to distract us from that migration issue and all these other issues that I just mentioned. These banks falling, or it's just a sign that it's not just about the banks falling, it's about being able to trust the banking system. Now they have all these fancy people coming out with all their fancy titles and telling us, hey, your money's okay, your money's fine. Because they know that you can move your money electronically. $42 billion was moved in 36 hours. That's the power right there. Power is with the people, and it always will be. But if we continue to let them drive the narrative, we're going to fall just like they want us to, because I don't think that they have our best interests at hand if they're feeding us is propaganda and trying to compartmentalize the macro issue here. The macro issue is the macro issue. And that is that our families matter. And the things that help us make our families healthy and strong and balanced and moving forward, not just for this generation, but for the next, is that we have our books in order. We have our politics in order. We know what when somebody's lying right here in front of our face. This right here is disgusting, that this whole Donald Trump story, I feel like it's just propaganda. And it's in the reason why it's being used is to promote fear about another insurrection happening at the White House. So you should be scared, and then you should vote for who we're going to ask you to vote for. Maybe they are trying to get Donald Trump back in office. Maybe they're not. I don't care. What I care about is the family first. The president isn't first. The president isn't the most important things because we can have any president. The most important thing is the standard family in America. I think that we have to make sure that stays in front of us because if they're not talking about the family, if they're not talking about the things that's going to help us uphold that family, it's propaganda. It's unimportant and it needs to be a back burner issue. What needs to be a front burner issue is how are we going to make sure that our economy doesn't fall. You putting all these people in place, Sam Bankman-Fried, you putting all these weird people in front of our face to make it seem like they know what they're doing. But it seemed like to me he was put there. And a whole bunch of people got off on some money because that was a straight pyramid scheme, just like Bernie Sanders was a pyramid scheme, or not Bernie Sanders. Bernie Madoff was also another pyramid scheme. It's just like it's the same demonic story playing over and over again. We're gonna build up this bubble, and then the joke's on you because when that bubble bursts, the people in the know is gonna get the bag, and we're gonna put out this story and act like we didn't know what was going on. I can't believe this is happening, and then there's your fall guy. You just have a fall guy. It doesn't matter. They always use fall guys. He was just one that thought that he could get away with it. He didn't think he would be the fall guy. He thought that he was going to be big stuff. I'm the CEO or CFO of this big cryptocurrency exchange. You see number 2, you don't get up to be number 2 unless they put you at number 2. The only people that get up that high outside of the God of this world is where if God himself puts you there and you stealing a bunch of money from a bunch of people don't seem heavenly or godly or righteous to me. So I know that wasn't of God. They put you there. They caught you with your hair looking funny. He looks funny. His hair looks funny. They made him look like an idiot.
Why are women everywhere
They just they playing with us right in front of our face. And you know the crazy thing is that it doesn't have to be everybody. Everybody doesn't have to be in on the joke. The only people that need to be in on it is the key players. And we're going to be the ones with the short end of the stick if we don't focus on the right things that we need to be focused on. The power of the economy is with the people. The power of influence is with the people. The power of life and death is with the people. So we have to make sure that we speak life into our families. A lot of us give our power away to the government and to say, "Hey, here you do it," and we'll agree once you figure something out. But it's time that we start figuring things out on our end and compare notes with what they have. And if it's not the same, then we need to reason with each other. But it can't just be them delegating things to us and then we're just take it. That's how tyranny happens, and that's how dictatorship happens. Anyway, I just wanted to go over this information with Donald Trump and why I think that he's going to be indicted. He may be indicted, but at the end of the day, it's just propaganda. So when you see it, it's only meant to get you scared and to put fear into your heart so that you can vote for who they want you to vote for. You vote for what's going to be best for your family. That's who you vote for, not some figure that's just in front of your face. And that's what they don't want you to. That's what they don't want to tell you. That's not what they don't need you to vote for that because then they won't have any power. But that's okay. They don't need the power because they clearly don't know what they're doing with it. Did you guys have any questions? All right. Well, that's been the end of this podcast. I will see you guys tomorrow. We're going to go over some more news and we'll see where this tail goes. But we're going to be following the election because this is going to be important because too many banks have been falling, and it's affecting everything. It's affecting farming. It's affecting our regular goods and services. It's affecting the way that people are charging for the rent, charging for mortgages now. It's affecting our whole world economy, and it's also a huge conflict of interest that Hunter Biden and Joe Biden are doing back-end deals with China and then lying about it, saying that they have nothing to do with it when we already know that China can easily buy up all the property they want that's open and available to them. They don't have a limit. They own a lot of property, especially in California. But we have to follow this because we need to see how we can get some of those resources that they're just giving out to Ukraine and anybody else that cries a river, immigrants, anybody that cries except for the standard American family. We're the only ones that are giving, but we can't so much as ask for a decent gas price, decent rent and mortgage prices. We can't even ask for that. So something's got to give. If these immigrants, these migrants in Ukraine and China and anybody else can get what they want out of America, so can we. All right, fam. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you. Bye.